Hey guys, Jeremy here with Simple Little Life. What I'd like to share with you today is a really simple technique that you can get a pseudo-convex grind. A convex grind obviously is a grind that's kind of rounded over like this. You've got your different grinds. Flat grinds are like totally flat. Concave grinds are with some type of a hollow, like a wheel or a radius platen. But a knife like this, essentially what I ended up with was 2 inches of flat grind here and then the flat of the blade. Now I wanted to bring that together because I want my finished grinds to be fairly uniform and even, and I thought, what am I gonna do? Now the truth be told, I don't really like my rotary platen for grinding bevels, for grinding knives. I love it for shaping handles and for doing the handle work, fantastic. But if I were to grind my full flats on here and then I went straight to the rotary platen, you need to be so light with your pressure. And even when I put that serpentine belt under incredible tension, so it's banjo tight, still, it doesn't take off material as fast as I want, where I want. And if I were to just push into it, I would take a lot of material off of the cutting edge, a little bit at that apex where this bevel stops and we meet the flat, but I would also be taking off material at the spine area. So essentially, my profile would kind of come like this a little bit and then convex out. And I don't want that. I want this to be flat. I mean, I put a little radius on the top, but I don't want this to go in at all. I think it's kind of silly. So I came up with a quick little thing, super easy, and we're going to want to run the grinder fairly slow when you're doing this, but I'll show you how you can do it. And again, this is something you'll do after you put in your initial bevels. So you've got your bevels done on both sides. There's no jigging required for this. It's just, you hold it and kind of articulate, rock back and forth. Really, really simple. So let's just point the camera at this thing here and I'll show you how to do it. All right, so I've got you in real nice and close so you can see what's going on. So key thing here, obviously, good practice to keep your work rest 90 degrees to your platen. And all I'm gonna do, the first thing I'll do actually, once I've got my bevels ground, I'll just grind this flat section here so we can get the same grain going back and forth. Maybe not quite so important if you're gonna hand sand. Me personally, I'm not a fan of the hand sanding, so I try and do as much, keep belt marks. I like belt finishes on my knives. But all I'll do is first thing I'll do is I'll work on getting this part ground in. Actually, let me run the machine so I don't have to put a bunch of scratches in like I just did. So we're just gonna kind of bring it in here and just feel for the flat. Again, not using a real high RPM here, want it running nice and slow. Get those scratches I just put in out. Key thing you want to think about, you want your work rest fairly close to your belt there. If not, there's a potential that once you get to like an end like this, it could fall in there and you end up doing some damage and it makes a guy cry. But anyway, so once we've got that roughly ground in, now what we're going to do is I usually like to stand kind of to the side of my grinder, so I'm not in front of my grinder, I'm right here. And this takes a little practice, and all I'm doing is rocking it back and forth. So essentially I'm going from the flat and to the bevel, flat to the bevel. Now I'm not going past, but you see how I'm just doing that right there? And keeping this hand, keeping pressure on the belt on this hand so it's consistent and then we don't end up, kind of coming at an angle. We're using the platen as like a datum point as our reference. And so we're just back and forth, back and forth. And I can even come like this. I can hold on to it like this, one hand on each side if I want. And what that does is we're gonna see we just grind away this transitional point. So we're actually putting a radius in right there. And if you wanna you can go nice and slow. If you wanna do a radius more on the bevel part, then you can do it that way. And literally this is all I was doing to get these things to have that convex grind, and it works so good. It's so easy to do, and I just thought I'd share this with you. If you guys don't, if you ever wanted to get like a nice even transition from the flats to the bevels, this is about one of the easiest ways I can think of to do it. And then I'll come up here and I'll do this with the surface conditioning belt. Right now I'm on a Trizact belt, so we're really in the finishing stages here. This blade is basically done, but just for demonstration purposes I can grind with this belt and not really be taking off too much material. We're just doing scratch refinement. So that's basically it. Kind of plant it on there and work your ways back and forth, basically riding on that transition there, where you go from your flat to your bevel and kind of radiusing that out. And on a knife like this, it worked absolutely fantastic. So you can't even see it. I mean, when you look down the spine of it, you can't tell it's a flat grind that stops. It's all very gentle, very soothing, very smooth, and works fantastic. Well, there you have it, guys. A real simple way to get a convex on your blades. And I actually started doing this with some fairly coarse grit. So I would get my flats ground in there, and I would be doing this at 50 grit and then rocking it back and forth. Take your time, not a lot of RPM. I think that was a big thing for me because we can just slowly bring down that apex where those two planes meet, and we end up with a really nice convex blade. I've never seen anybody share that before, and I thought I should share it with you guys here. There's not a lot of technique required. It's not a very technical maneuver to do, but it works really well. So hope you enjoy it, guys. Hopefully it helps you out, and thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. Thank you for watching the video, and have fun making some knives. Cheers.